Alrighty, welcome everybody to the second episode of the Tilt Proof Podcast. My name is Darth Lopez,
I'm FatxShack.
and today we are going to touch on everybody's favorite subject, which is going to be the FCC repeal of net neutrality. But we've got a couple of news stories before we get into that. The first of which I wanted to cover kind of last week, but we had a full podcast with Overwatch. During the Game Awards this year, about a couple weeks ago, I think it was like December 8th or something, From Software of Bloodborne and Dark Souls fame had a really short teaser trailer titled Shadows Die Twice, which a lot of people are taking to be Bloodborne 2, possibly. But I don't want to get everybody's hopes up. I know, Shaq, you played Bloodborne. What did you think about it?
Dude, Bloodborne changed my life in video games because I've always been like a first person shooter. And I was always I was always bad at those type games. But like whenever I saw you play Dark Souls and then I had buddies say, hey, buy Bloodborne. We're going to go play this. We'll go gank some asses, And I was like, I love it. Loved it. I fell in love with it. And I remember last year there was we thought that they might announce another Bloodborne. But now seems like this could be it.
It could. I think that we're jumping on the hype train a little too early because Miyazaki, which is Hidetaka Miyazaki, which is who created Demon Souls, the first Dark Souls, sat out Dark Souls 2, unfortunately. Was the creative director for Bloodborne and for Dark Souls 3. Souls is his brainchild. And he's basically said that he does not want to create any more Souls-born games. He doesn't want to be involved in those. Because he thinks that he's kind of finished it. And I think that Dark Souls 3 kind of closed off Dark Souls. I think Bloodborne doesn't necessarily need a sequel, at least in the Yharnam environment. I think that everything was pretty much wrapped up really nice and tightly after the Old Hunters DLC. But I'm not going to turn it down if they make a Bloodborne 2. I'm definitely going to fucking play it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think more than likely it's probably going to be one of two other FromSoft IPs. One could be Shadow Tower, which, Shadows Die Twice, Shadow Tower, they share that common word. I think most likely it's probably going to be Tenchu, which is an old FromSoft game. I think it was on PlayStation 1 or 2, and you basically play an assassin, but there's a lot of shadow imagery in that game, and it's set in a Japanese setting. You see Japanese script in the background on the Shadows Die Twice trailer. So I think that's probably what we're going to get, but if it's coming from FromSoft, I'm going to buy it anyways. I don't have to play the original game. They haven't let me down yet. Even though Dark Souls 2 was not great by any stretch of the imagination, it was still a really good game. Still a really good game. And I think that we're in for a treat, whatever they bring out. I've got faith in that studio.
So have you gotten to play Tenchi?
No, I haven't played Tenchu. I didn't know anything about FromSoft until Demon Souls came out. And I was actually in college, and one of my roommates bought Demon Souls. He literally typed in Google the hardest video game out right now, and Demon Souls popped up, and he bought it. And then I ended up playing it with him, watching him play through it. I tried to play through it and rage quit after about 20 hours. I got on one boss named Flame Lurker, which you guys probably know if you played Demon Souls who Flame Lurker is, and rage quit it for 6 fucking months. And over that 6-month period, it was just I would be sitting in class, taking notes, and it'd be like, you gonna let that fucking fire ass bitch, keep you from beating this game? And be like, no, I'm not gonna let that fire bitch, keep me from doing this. And so I eventually came back to it, beat it, loved it, fell in love with it, bought, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, and I've loved those games ever since. So I'm definitely looking forward to what the next offering is, whether it be Souls, or whether it be Tenchu, or some other, some new IP that they haven't, this is not going to be a sequel to. Just give me a game from Soft, I'll play it. End of story.
I got 2 questions for you.
Okay.
What's your favorite Souls game?
Favorite Souls game? Dark Souls 1.
The first one?
The very first, yeah. Dark Souls 1 is easily my favorite. I just think the lore is great. I think the interconnected map is really good. You really have to, until you get halfway through the game, because you've not played Dark Souls 1, have you?
I haven't.
Okay. So Dark Souls 1, you can't fast travel until at least halfway through the game. And so you're literally just running your way through, this vast land. It makes it feel like it's so much more epic of a scale than the other games. And the map design was just really good. I think Dark Souls 1 is my favorite, followed by Dark Souls 3, then Bloodborne.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all of those are good.
I thought it was really cool whenever I believe you were either beating Dark Souls 3 or you were beating the DLC to it. And I was watching you on Twitch and you had this moment of like you just stopped and looked at the map and you were like, "Holy shit. This is from the other games."
Yeah.
Like you loved how it tied it in, and I thought that was really cool, and that got me excited to play them too.
Yeah, like the one cool thing about, I mean, all of those games really is that you can, if you get up to a vantage point, you can look off the side and be like, oh, like what's that little town down there? And then 10 hours later, you'll be like, oh shit, I'm in that town. And you look up and you see the wall you were standing on.
Yeah.
Like it makes the games feel like it's so much more, grand of a scale. And those of you who know me have watched me stream, like know that I love the Souls games. And I fangirl out a little bit when we start talking about this stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to the new installment, whether it be Bloodborne or something else.
Well, here's my second question.
Okay.
Of the 3 endings of Bloodborne, have you seen all 3?
I've seen, let's see. I've seen the one where you fight Moon Presence and you become a new Great One. I've seen the one where Garamond kills you and you wake up from the dream. I don't know what the third one is, though.
Okay, so the third one, instead of becoming the Great One, you become... it's really considered the second, because the first one is you just let Garam kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Third one is you become the new Great One. The second one is actually you kill Garam, but you don't fight the Great One, and you become the new Garam.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. So you'd have to... Okay, so yeah, you don't have the Moon Presence, like, you don't have the umbilical cords.
Yeah.
You fight you fight Garam and kill him, and you're the new Garam. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah, I've seen those. Sorry, what's your question?
Which of those is your favorite?
My favorite? Oh, easily becoming the Great One. Right?
Hell yeah, that's mine too.
Because that whole game was, well, not the whole game, but the first half of that game was me being like going around Vale Helsing and everybody, just like slaying werewolves, and I've got my pistol and my saw cleaver. I'm running around kicking the shit out of werewolves and all this like very traditional kind of horror spooky stuff. And then somewhere halfway through the game, it's just like, oh yeah, and there's these like alien dudes that are really powerful, and that's what's causing everybody to turn into werewolves. And so it was just like a huge kind of like, I guess, like mind fuck, like a big twist they threw in there. Because I just expected it to be like Victorian horror, and then they throw in this like Lovecraftian like space gods from like from far away, that it was such a cool way, like a cool twist. And yeah, that's why I like the Moon Presence ending. Like when he came down, I was just like, what the fuck?
I think it's real when he like grabs you in the second ending, he just grabs you and then you become Garam. I love in the ending that we both like, he like is shocked, like he's like, oh fuck.
Right.
And then you just become like this little umbilical cord.
Yeah, this little squid little monster, and you're the new Great One. And I guess the cycle carries on. It's a very good game. All the Souls games have cool little things like that, hidden secrets that like you just like if you weren't paying close attention to reading item descriptions, or like you didn't find this one particular item, you can miss out on these huge like chunks of the game, which sucks. But it's also a very cool way to like go back and kind of play through the games again to try and find those secrets.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love it.
All right. So Darth, Vine was a social networking platform where you could just shoot 6 seconds of whatever you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody thought it was really cool because like you could let go, move somewhere else, hold it again, and you were there. So like it didn't matter, like you had to hold it to record.
Okay.
So I could be real corny, hold the phone up, start recording for 2 seconds, snap, move somewhere else, and be like, oh my god, I'm a magician. And it would just, all line up. It's real corny. But I loved Vine whenever it first came out because it was just like another Twitter. I had all my friends back at home that had Vine, and like we'd all make little videos, and I got pretty popular in my town from just doing dip vines.
Okay, what's a dip vine? I'm old, guys. I'm sorry. I have to know.
Like Copenhagen.
Oh, okay. So
I would just,
I got you now.
16-year-old running around doing stupid shit with dip. All right. And people just thought it was the funniest thing ever. And then they came out with the pesky, like, Vine retweet. And that just, like, that ruined, they didn't really ruin Vine, but it did make the people that we don't like today that are famous off of it. Because that's how a lot of people got popular is from that, and then they got the view count, and then all these little sponsorships. But it got so bad and so cringy that it eventually just basically got bought out. There was no more Vine.
I say I don't know who bought it out, but I know they pretty much bought it and just shut it down, right?
Yeah, I think they were going bankrupt, and it was actually just kind of almost. I might be speaking out of turn, but just like almost up for sale.
Okay, I got you.
Because, no joke, there's even talk about Pornhub buying Vine.
Sounds like $1 million idea to me.
Yeah, that's what I was. I'm not going to say I was, but I was definitely pulling for Pornhub. But, yeah, they basically, whoever bought it did just shut it down. It was no more. And all the Vine stars became YouTube stars. But, an old guy I used to watch on Vine who just, if you ever hear me singing some stupid ass songs, he made them, and he is on Instagram now. I'm still making stupid songs about titties, and he posted the other day that Vine 2 might be coming live, guys. There might be another Vine. I actually read where Dom Hoffman, the co-founder of Vine, hints at a new, he hints that there might be another Vine. And there is hype everywhere. And some of the most iconic memes come from Vine. And it is truly awesome to see an opportunity in the future, because back whenever I was making those videos for, my hometown, I wasn't FatxShack yet. And I just see like a big platform for us in the future, Darth.
Yeah.
Like getting to make little videos and get to show our funny side and see if we can't boost that up some.
I think it's a very interesting. I was not involved in Vine whatsoever when when it came out. I didn't get Vine. Like I said, I'm a little bit older than Shaq is, and I never experienced like the Vine phenomenon. I knew what it was. I knew that it was going on. I didn't get 6 second clips of video. I didn't think that was like a long enough platform to really get anything across. That being said, I've seen like a couple of different Vine magicians, and I'm a magic nerd. I love that shit. Like making 6 second videos where you take a phone and make it fucking disappear. Like I love that. I think it's such a creative way. And then it's kind of like Twitter, where they have like their limited characters. I think the shorter, like more condensed you make a platform like that, the more creative you have to get to make something popular. So like short and concise videos, I kind of equate it to like the short and concise, like 140 characters that Twitter used to be. So I definitely see the appeal for it. I think it's a cool platform, and I think that there is a lot of potential there for the just average dude, for Twitch streamers, for podcasters who post like a 6 second clip of us in a podcast. I mean, you could use just to promote other things. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I'm excited, man. I think that that Vine 2, as popular as the original was, I think that it's gonna be a good thing.
I'm hoping for it. I hope it comes out, because it's a great laying in bed, just scrolling through Vines right before you go to bed type thing.
I never experienced it, but if Vine 2 comes out, I'll have to give it a shot.
Oh yeah, you definitely should.
All right, so our last kind of news story for the week, and it's what our deep dive is going to be about as well, but I figured we'd start out on a light note. As some of you know, I am a huge fan of EDM and electronic music in general. So after the repeal of net neutrality this week, after FCC repealed net neutrality laws, I was scrolling through my Twitter feed and following Diplo's parody account, which is for his show like What Would Diplo Do, and I'm just gonna read this tweet off because I think it's hilarious. So Diplo basically posts, "Yo Baauer, did the FCC license your song for this? This is your moment to become a hero. Call the lawyers." And what he's referencing is Ajit Pai, the commissioner of the FCC, posted a YouTube video on like 7 things that you'll still be able to do after net neutrality is repealed. And part of that video uses the Harlem Shake, which Baauer just so happened to produce. And so after Diplo, puts this up on Twitter and basically tags Baauer in it, Baauer is now taking action against the Harlem Shake net neutrality repeal video, and like issuing a DMCA claim against the video for using his song. And just to follow up on that, like that, I think that's fucking amazing. That that the FCC is using this video, this song, and Baauer, Diplo don't agree with it, so they're taking their property, they're taking what power that they have, like what following that they have, and making a stand for it. So I think that's really, really cool. But to follow up on that, after Baauer actually did this, Diplo, of course, being Diplo, and being run by Dylan Francis, who's also really fucking funny, like the parody account's run by him and the writers of that show, basically commented on this, said, "I issued my command, and a brave soldier obeyed. We're at war, and I am the general. The EDM army shall prepare for battle and ride at dawn. You will know of our coming by the bass that shakes the soul of our enemies. Fight bravely, the drop is coming. My first wartime action is to promote Major Laser to the rank of Colonel Laser. Congratulations. Secondly, I'm promoting Baauer and making him active commander of the 1st Glover Cavalry Unit, one of the most elite units of the EDM forces. Thirdly, during wartime, you cannot point out typos in my tweets. Those are intentional codes meant to confuse our enemy, not actually typos." I just thought that... I thought, like, it's very tongue-in-cheek. It's very childish and like kind of juvenile, but I fucking love it. Like, I think that it's a good way to point out the problem that's going on, like a lot of the issues that people are having with the repeal of net neutrality, and also just like adding a lighter side to it, so where people can kind of understand what's going on, and I don't want to say laugh at the situation, because a lot of people like it's a serious thing, like it's something that we need to discuss, and we are later on today. But I think it's a way, and I think comedy does this in general, like it's a way to look at this in a different viewpoint and kind of analyze it, and not to mention just being fucking hilarious on top of that.
Dude, guys, if y'all haven't seen the most cringy video of 2017, it's definitely 7 things you can still do on the internet after net neutrality. I just watched it right before we started our podcast, and I couldn't believe that I was watching it. Like, I can't believe somebody would actually like say, like, give the go light on this. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
It seems like they're just so out of touch with what's going on. And like you said, it is probably the cringiest video of the year.
And now they're getting sued for it. So
yeah,
let's go. Nerds will prevail.
Yeah. All of my EDM bass heads unite out there. So using that as like a segue into what we're going to talk about today, we are going to talk about the repeal of net neutrality regulations that were put into effect in 2015 is the most recent time that was put in. I think Shaq said that we had some put in 1996-ish. So here's what it means, or here's what I understand it to mean. The net neutrality regulations that are currently in place, that were currently voted on by the FCC to be repealed, basically treats the internet as a utility, which means that we all should have equal access to the internet if you pay a base price, get connection to the internet, and you're able to use that for whatever you need. You have access to the entirety of the internet. The net neutrality law, the regulations that were repealed, basically allows, or could allow, ISPs to gate off certain sections of the internet, say like Netflix or YouTube, things that use bandwidth, like a lot of bandwidth, gate those off and make you pay a higher premium to get access to those sites. So basically, what people are worried about is that it's kind of a censorship ordeal. Like if they start gating these off, you could literally put it in a price point that could censor the internet and hence kind of be a censorship of free speech, which everybody knows us Americans hold near and dear to our heart. So, what do you think about this situation, Chuck? Like, what's your initial impression on the repeal of the net neutrality regulations?
The first thing that comes to mind is, why is this even happening? Why? Who came up with this? Why is this the problem now? Why are we having to deal with somebody trying to take the internet away? It's basically how I see it. It's somebody's trying to just take something that we love and enjoy, that I'm on every single day, that I don't have a problem with, and they're taking it away, and they want to change it up. They want to change it up to their little government ways. They want more money here. They want to up the price. Like, that gum, man, I'm already paying a good amount of money for decent internet.
Right.
And it feels like they're stripping my right to have something that doesn't even make sense to me.
And I think that a lot of people are in the same boat as you are, where it's like, it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, to use a southern idiom there. Like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, don't fuck with it. Like, everybody's enjoying the internet the way it is right now. Yeah, we have some issues with, service and service providers, but for the most part, the internet seems to be pretty decent and working for most people.
It's very frustrating, Darth. Like, because I mean, what scares me is I'm scared that I'm not going to be able to afford it.
Right.
And if I don't get to do this, then I don't know what I'm going to be able to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are worried, like, just about the price point. So, with the repeal of the laws, what could happen is, I've already told Chuck before this, I'm going to kind of play devil's advocate here. Like, I'm going to bring up points, and then I'll try to bring up the other side of the argument. But what could happen here is that these are repealed, and it still has to go to Congress to be voted on before these are repealed. But the FCC has voted to repeal these Title II protections. And what could happen is, you have access to the internet right now. Like, you say you pay Comcast, you're $100 a month to be on the internet, and they have a conflict with, say, Netflix. Like, Comcast has Conflicts, and that's their own streaming service. So they allow their streaming service, Conflicts, totally made up, to have the fast lane to the internet. They allow them to not be throttled, to upload whatever they need to do to get that service to you. But because they're in competition with Netflix, they throttle that internet connection. So it lags out, it disconnects. You're watching choppy videos. You're not watching them in HD. And so you have to pay more. Netflix would have to pay more to Comcast, one, to allow, to get access to that fast lane. And then you would also have to pay more to get, like, their streaming package to get access to Netflix. So the ISPs really are the ones who are benefiting here, because they could get more money from both ends to allow your favorite services, to be streamed to you like they are like you're using them right now. Which I think what worries most people. I mean, money, cash rules everything around me. And I think that's the big issue that most people are having with this.
So, who came up with this?
Who came up with the, like, repealing Title II?
Yes.
For all intents and purposes, I think it's a combination of the commissioner, Ajit Pai, and then also having a Republican administration who Republicans are, historically against any type of government regulation on business. So Ajit Pai was a lawyer for Verizon, I believe it was. He worked for Verizon, had a lot of friends there, and I'm sure that he probably is getting a lot of money to be pushing this through. So I think that's what it is. I think it's just a play for a former Verizon employee with a Republican administration who wants things deregulated, and the ISPs who are lobbying to get this pushed through so they can make more money.
Wow.
And I don't blame people for trying to make money. I don't. Like, it's a free country. Free enterprise is what we founded this country on, like capitalism. But it seems like you're really using your connections to take advantage of the American people, which is not cool in my opinion.
And it's not at all. And dude, I can remember whenever this was like during the summer and Twitch had the first time I heard about it was from Twitch.
Mhm.
Whenever they had like their little campaign about it. And when I read like what I kind of understood was basically, and I think a lot of people kind of understood it like this. Um, they're gonna make you pay just to go to websites. And so whenever I read kind of that was kind of set in my head, I was like, screw that, and I started signing everything
Yeah.
being against taking away net neutrality. And and what I don't understand is like they didn't listen to us. They
Yeah.
didn't
And
like all these people are saying we don't want this, and like they were like, well, we really don't care what y'all want.
and that's my biggest issue. Like, I posted on Twitter like right after it happened. I was like, I have less of a concern with like the fallout, like the actual policy that's going to fall out from the FCC repealing Title II, than the fact that they are a government agency. They are supposed to have the people's interest, like best interest, and their wishes at heart. And they just said "fuck you" to all the American people that vote.
Yeah.
I mean, because the fact is, a vast majority of American people do not want these things repealed, and the FCC is like, we're gonna fucking do it anyway. Like, I don't care, and that's a huge issue. Like, your government officials, they're not elected; they're appointed by the administration. I get that. Um, they're not elected, but the government, the government that we elected appointed these people to these positions,
Yeah.
and it just blows my mind that they're just going to be like, no, we're not listening to anything that the American people have to say about this, and we're just going to do it anyway. Now, playing devil's advocate here, I think that the vast majority of the public is probably not as educated on this particular subject as they should be. I think that a lot of people are just being like, it's the end of the fucking internet, pack your bags, we're moving somewhere else. Like, there's so much, like, it's a fucking garbage fire online right now with people calling it's gonna be the end of the world. It's gonna, like, I think that's hugely over exaggerated.
So tell me what you think they see. Like, tell me what you think their true intentions are. Like the business side of it.
Okay, so I mean, I think the number one player here, and the reason why they're doing this, is obviously money. It's so the ISPs can make more money. Now, they can charge more to Netflix, they can charge more to YouTube, Google, who Netflix, YouTube, Google, like Alphabet company is adamantly against the repealing of net neutrality. And that's because it's going to affect them a lot. Like, Netflix and YouTube are huge users of bandwidth. Pornhub, huge users of bandwidth on ISPs. So basically, they're going to end up having to pay a pretty good chunk of change to have their content piped to the end user, which is going to be us, at the same speed they're currently receiving. So they're vehemently against these repeals because they're going to have to pay more money. Like, it's more money out of their pocket. That's less profit that they get, and it's more money to the ISPs. So it's all about money as to which side these big corporations are on right now. And I mean, I understand you're trying to run a business, but what could happen, and this is like best case scenario for us end users, what could end up happening, is that with repealing these Title II protections, you could, in theory, raise competition in certain areas. Right now, there's a lot of government regulations, a lot of government subsidies, especially in local small towns and in rural areas, where these ISPs, these big ISPs, have deals with local governments to come in and set up infrastructures. And so the mom and pop places can't go up to these local governments and say, hey, we could provide this service better. And the governments are like, no, this is subsidized. We already have contracts with these people. And so they basically shut down competition in those areas. So the theory is that you bring in more competition. The people who are gating, who are throttling, say Netflix, or making them pay a premium service to get the same content, or making the customer pay for these fast lanes to the internet. The ISPs who are doing that, if there's competition in the area, somebody can move in and say, no, you pay us the same price. We're not going to charge you extra. You get all the internet for as fast as you want it. And that's what and most conservatives, that's the argument that you will hear from them, the people who are for this. And in theory, it sounds really, really good. Like somebody who, like myself, who thinks the government should stay the fuck out of everything, honestly, and shouldn't be regulating these kind of things. I think that that's how a free market kind of is going to thrive the best. Like, I don't think there should be regulations there. But contrary to my personal belief, the American people didn't want it. So, like, they don't want it, then we should not have repealed it. And that's the problem I have.
See, to me, and I know it's not exactly could create a monopoly because everybody could have a chance of, having an internet service, but it sounds like this is like heading towards somebody just being top dog. And doesn't it? Doesn't it seem like maybe one to me, it sounds like it's going to turn into somebody's going to give you the best deals, and they're going to try to keep it that way as long as they can, and then just like I don't know. It's confusing to me a little bit.
I see what you're saying. Like, you don't want. I don't think that you necessarily want a Walmart of the internet, like just this huge company that's everywhere. But you've got to think that you have in like the retail market. Say we're just going to keep using Walmart as an example. You have other stores who do very, very well in that same market. Like you have Target, who tends to offer a little bit higher end goods than Walmart. You have specialized stores, so like Dick's Sporting Goods or Academy Sports or
okay.
Outdoor World. So you like there's still plenty of competition for what you want. Something dirt cheap and not very well made, need it right now. You go to Walmart, and that's great. Like they used to be a giant, but you've got like all these other companies that come in and take parts of that market share. And depending on what you need, you could go to that specialized service, or that specialized store to get it. And that's what I think that the repeal could actually, cause in the ISP market. Because right now, name the ISPs that you have. You have like Comcast, you have Time Warner, you have AT&T, you have Verizon. There's like 4.
Suddenlink,
okay, yeah. So there's not very many internet service providers as it is. And basically it's not a monopoly as it is now, it's an oligopoly. If I can pronounce this, an oligopoly. There we go. So it basically means that one or two internet service providers have they have a hold on the market in these regions. So like right now, like I said, like North Carolina, I can get Time Warner Cable and I can get AT&T Uverse, and I believe that's the only 2 that I've got. And so you really have to pick, the better of your 2 evils at this point. And what go ahead.
Sorry. Well, yeah. Like in Arkansas, it's you have Suddenlink in the northeast area, and then in central area you have Comcast, and then in both you have AT&T. But then it comes down to, do you want cable or do you want DirecTV?
Right.
But that was just
and that's the way that it is, like all the way across the country, and like you have very, very limited choices as it is. So I don't think that it's going to, like, the repeal is necessarily going to cause these internet service providers to just get more of a foothold. I honestly think that it could. Again, this is all potentially best case scenario. You could have these other ISPs moving in because there's not going to be any regional restraints on like who can come in and start giving internet service to the people of that area, which is good. Like competition breeds innovation. Like that's great, and you hear that across like the board. That's what the commissioner says. That's what a lot of the conservatives who are on board with this say, is that it's competition is going to be good. You're going to get better internet service as a result of this if it ends up going through Congress. So, do I believe that's going to happen? No, I don't.
So potentially we could have like our own gaming internet service, like where it's just kind of
that could be one
towards like streamers and
that could be one that could be one direction that it could go in if if this ruling's upheld, is that you could have, say, like, you know Darth and Shack's internet service, and we say, because download is not necessarily very important to people who play a lot of video games, right? Like we're are not necessarily important to people who are streaming a lot of video games. Like we use the upstream a lot. Like
Yes.
there's a lot of like while we're uploading to Twitch, you're uploading YouTube videos, whatever. Your upload speed is very, very important because you don't want to drop frames. You want to make sure that you're getting the best connection to those servers. So you could have, say, like a 10 down, like 200 up connection. I don't know if that's possible because I don't know the tech side of that. But I'm saying, like, you could have these specialized services that could potentially be very, very advantageous. And as a result, you would pay half the price you're paying now because you're using half the download speed. So, like,
Okay, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Let me so let's hypothetically say that me and you create our own internet service and we have, like what you said, like a better upload than download.
Mhm.
All right. Could we make it to where our internet service has, like, we just don't charge anybody else? Like we don't charge Netflix or Facebook or anybody like that. We just kind of let them use it like it is now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's basically what the whole competition argument is. It's saying that when these ISPs have to, like, if the repeal goes through, like if Congress votes these through, the idea is that the first ISP that comes in and says, all right, you're going to have to pay $10 extra a month to use Facebook, $10 extra to use Twitter, YouTube, you're going to have to pay us, $400 million to use our fast lane for the internet. As soon as somebody does that, then their competitor is going to move in and say, listen, guys, we'll charge you the same. We'll not charge you, YouTube. You can use it for free. All you end users, you want to go to Facebook, you want to go to Twitter, perfectly fine. You just pay us a base cost, the same as the other guys charging you. You just don't get the extra upcharge. And so then the other, like the first ISP who's trying to add on all these extra charges is going to have to deal with it. And that says that, the more competitive the market is, the lower it should drive the price. Which is, again, like that's great if you can trust people. I think there's way too many corrupt people within those organizations that are gonna, like, Verizon's gonna call Comcast and be like, "Hey, bro, we're gonna charge $10 a month for Facebook. Yeah, we're gonna do it too. Cool." And then they're just all gonna agree not to, not to budge from those movements. And so everybody's in price is gonna end up going up until, like, you have somebody say, like, Google comes in and it's just like, fuck all you guys. We're gonna set up our own network. We're not gonna throttle anybody. We're not gonna charge for tier packages. You have access to the internet. Here's your internet connection. It's $60 a month, whatever. Which again is good. Like, that's competition breeding, innovate. That's a result coming out. Or Elon Musk with, Tesla is gonna do the same thing. Be like, I'm tired of all this stuff. So it's gonna take it. But in that future, it's gonna have to get a lot worse before somebody comes out and says, "I'm tired of this shit. We're gonna make a change."
So if there was a silver lining, that would be the silver lining that I would see.
Yeah, the silver lining is that, so if things get really shitty, like I said, if internet service providers just keep going, we're gonna charge this much for this tier, this much to get to Facebook, this much to get to Twitter, this much to get to Twitch, then the silver lining is that somebody could get fed up enough, and it would have to be a big corporation. It'd have to be Google. It'd have to be like Elon Musk. It'd have to be somebody with a significant amount of money behind them, or one of the existing ISPs to say, listen, we're losing enough of the market share because, say, like, their service might not be as good as, the biggest competitor. We're going to drop these charges so we can start pulling people back in. So that's the silver lining, is that if it does get bad, that somebody's going to have to make a change, like whether it be an existing ISP who has lost a bunch of their customers to these other guys, or somebody coming in and completely innovating the way that the internet's done before it gets better. Like that could be a silver lining. Or, best case scenario, nothing really changes on the internet. They repeal these laws. Like Google's, YouTube's of the world have to pay more money to, like, get their content to the end user, but it wouldn't affect necessarily us. Well, it would, because Netflix would go up. YouTube would probably play more ads. So yeah, I mean the internet could get shittier if these go through. But like I said, the silver lining could be that we get some innovation, which would, I mean, I think we can all agree. Like the United States is not the leader in the world with like a leader of the world amongst like internet connections. Like Asia, like Japan, a lot of European countries have way better internet connections than we do. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that the internet in the United States is so tightly regulated. Or that's what a lot of people point to. The fact that the Comcast, the Verizons, the AT&Ts, they are held to these regulations, so they don't do anything above and beyond those regulations. When you move those away, then you say, all right, we've got the green light to do what we need to do to make this, make our service better, because we're not being held to like this minimum standard. Like once you give somebody a benchmark and say you only need to do this much, then a lot of people will just stop there.
So that the net neutrality causes them to stop?
Like
it's part of the regulation?
I don't know that in particular causes these companies. I'm just like throwing out theories.
Okay, I was just making sure. I didn't know if that had something, because, dude, if we could have, I mean, my internet. I mean, I don't know how much better my internet could be. I could have a better PC, but I mean, shit works. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like my brother's internet is awful, and I hate that for him.
Think about the customer service that you get with your service provider. Like,
yeah,
I haven't heard anybody say. You said you had Suddenlink?
No, Suddenlink is huge in Arkansas, and they're starting to get big in Texas, because they actually they claim it, and doing a little bit of research, they kind of do. They have the fastest internet speed.
Okay. See, that's something that they can sell themselves on. It's like, listen, we have the highest connection rates, like the highest upload download speeds. And again, that goes back to, I mean, really competition. Like if you allow companies to compete openly, then suddenly it's going to come in and be like, we're going to blow these guys out of the water with our connection speed. And that's how they sell, that's how they get customers. So I don't know. It's a slippery slope. It's the current regulations that are in place now are saying that everybody's corrupt. So we have to tell them what they can and can't do. That's why these regulations are here. The opposite side of it is saying, no, like, let us free. We're going to make this shit better by creating competition, by creating new ideas, because we'll have more money to, put into research and development. So, you've got those two sides of the coin. Do I inherently think that everybody in all these organizations are corrupt? No. Do I think that they're going to take all those profits and put it into making their service better? No. So, I mean, like, it comes back to, in the end, it comes back to what the American people wanted, which is to keep the net neutrality laws where they're at and to not repeal them. And that's where I have the biggest issue, like I said earlier. It's just a slap in the face that all these people, whether they're misinformed or not, like, and I think a lot of people are misinformed. They hear, like, they're going to charge us to go to Pornhub, and they like fucking get out their pitchforks and torches and go to Twitter to blow up the FCC. I think a lot of it is that, but still, misinformed as they might be, they have their opinion. It's a government agency. They need to listen to the will of the people, and that's why I have an issue with it.
Agreed 100%. It would really be sad to have to see like the internet start to turn into like a cable, as in like you get this many websites. This is the website you can go to, and that's under this package.
That's a worry. Like, just think about how dissatisfied everybody is with their cable providers, which also provide internet to the majority of their customers. Like that's where we could head, which would be shitty. Like, you get our social media package for this much, you get our streaming service for this much.
Oh, that would be awful.
Yeah, and that's what people are worried about. And then, like, on the more extreme end of, and I should have touched on this earlier, but on the more extreme end of like having a completely deregulated internet where the companies can do these things, is that you could, and you can kind of see it, like, we'll take Twitter as an example. So Twitter, like, of course, has terms and services on their website. Like, you can't have like hate speech, can't have, racist things, comments, pictures, like extremely violent pictures, all that. You can't have that on Twitter's website. They can ban your account for that. What people are worried about is that it could get so bad that, say, you're like, say you're a conservative or a Democrat on one side or the other, like outside of the leaning of whatever platform you're using or whatever ISP you're using, they could block off content on your on the internet because they don't agree with the point of view that you have. So like you're a Republican, you want to go to a Republican website and check out the platform of the latest whoever's running for president. If that ISP is like diehard Democratic, then worst case scenario, they could just be like, nope, you're not allowed to go to this website and see what this guy has to say, and just block it.
That's messed up.
So that's like worst case scenario. Like that's very dystopian future, but it could happen. I think
that's some shit they'd pull though.
Yeah, and I think that's where the competition argument comes back in. If an ISP is doing that and blocking you from content on the internet, that like basically blocking free speech at this point, like that a competitor could move in and say, no, we're not going to do that. Come over to Darth and Shack's internet extravaganza, and we'll give you access to all the internet. And so that again, it's a back and forth on where it could go. I think it'll land somewhere in the middle if they end up getting pushed through. Like they'll probably end up charging like the big companies like the YouTubes, the Googles, the Amazons of the internet to have their content pushed through to the end user, rather than charging the end customer for different tier packages of like social media packages, streaming packages. I think that's where it's going to end up. If these go through, which it's like I said, it still has to go through Congress, but I think it's going to end up being the burden's going to end up falling on big corporations, which could trickle down to us as well. So we'll probably end up paying in the end because they're going to have to hit their profit margin, their profit numbers. But I think it'll be somewhere in the middle. It's not going to be completely like just dystopian and like hell in the handbasket. But bad things could happen.
Oh man, let's just hope for the best. Let's just hope, no matter what happens, that it goes in our favor, because I've only been getting. You just hit your 1 year mark.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to hit my 1 year mark here in a few months, and man, it would just suck not to be able to ever do this again, because I'm not able to afford it.
Right.
Or like I have to take a break until somebody comes out with the package that we can all use.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people are worried about. That's what Twitch is worried about. That's what the YouTube content creators are worried about, is that it could get so bad. And like I said, I don't think that it'll ever get to that point. I don't think that it's going to get to where they just start, because you do have to think about the end consumer. So yes, the internet is ingrained in anything that we do nowadays, but I think that once, like, if this happens and these companies start putting in tiered packages or start really just sticking it to the end user, that competition would end up moving. So I don't think it's going to be super terrible. It's not going to be like the end all be all if these end up being repealed and pushed through. But I mean, like, I hate to be like a cynic, but you always got to plan for the worst. And like, it would be terrible. It would be terrible.
You do.
It would be terrible.
You're 100% right, man. 100% right.
Have you got anything left to add, or anything you want to ask? Like, I think I've about said all that I can think about here to kind of touch on what could happen.
I think we're real lucky to have you, because I think a lot of people didn't realize. Because sometimes you do need a devil's advocate to tell you, well, this is what they're wanting to do. Even though we know that it's probably not going to happen the way that they say it's going to happen, because people can always twist and turn and do what they want to do on certain regulations. But I think it's good that we had you to come out here and help us talk about it. Dude, because we definitely needed to know how it's going to go, because me, up until the point we talked before this, it was, okay, we're about to start paying for YouTube. We're about to start paying for Netflix. Right. Just over the top. So thanks for explaining it to me.
Yeah, man, I'm glad that I could help out. And like I said, everything that it's not the end all be all, like kind of what I explained today. But I try to take arguments and see them from both sides. and see like where the other person's coming from, what could be the benefits, what could be what could be the detriments in this plan. I think that's something that a lot of people need to take into account in everyday life. Like, see, there's not always an evil motive. Like, granted, this looks pretty shitty, like bill of net neutrality.
Yeah.
But like, there's not always like it's not always one side. There are pros and cons to both sides of most arguments, and so like try to take a look at both sides. And like I said, I don't in any way condone the repeal of net neutrality, but like I don't think it's as bad as everybody might be thinking that it could be.
Do you have any more stories?
Nah, man, I'm done. It's been fun. I need to get that off my chest. I've been waiting to rant on that shit all week.
I bet. Well, guys, I appreciate all y'all coming out here to listen to this. Me and Darth greatly appreciate it. Join us here in a few weeks. Christmas is coming up, so I have to go away back to my hometown, Arkansas. Whoopig-Suey, shout out, But we have a special guest coming out the next time we have our podcast, and that'll be my brother, Lumberjake. So I'm excited about that. Guys, as always, you can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter at FatxShack. Darth, where can we find you, buddy?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Darth_Whoopass, WHOOPPASS. So come check us out. Play a lot of Overwatch and Call of Duty and Dark Souls, and Shaq's a big League player, so if you like what we're talking about and just love our charming personalities, come and drop in our Twitch chats and say hello.
Episode 2 is going to be a wrap.
Episode 2 of the bag. You guys take it easy, man. It's been fun.
It sure has. Everybody, stay tilt-proof.
So long.